Hi everyone. We are going to talk about green hydrogen, a silver bullet for decarbonization. Well, what if we could use the simplest and most abundant element in the universe for fuel for our cars, trains, ships, trucks, and other vehicles? What if, in addition, we can use renewable energy to produce this fuel, where instead of CO2, the primary emission will be water steam? There is an answer to these questions: green hydrogen. As Jules Verne predicted, the day has come when water became fuel through its constituent hydrogen and oxygen. Hydrogen has been used as fuel in its different forms: gray, brown, pink, yellow, and therefore when we add the surname green, it refers to an energy vector powered by renewable energies, in which, through a chemical process called electrolysis, the hydrogen molecule is separated from the oxygen molecule, storing energy and emitting only water steam. Green hydrogen is already a reality, and according to Bloomberg NEF, by 2030, green hydrogen is expected to be more competitive than blue hydrogen, paving the way for a clean transition. As we know, we are in a tipping point as humanity, according, of course, to the latest IPCC report. This has been echoed in all sectors, motivating the action of various stakeholders toward decarbonization. Under this scenario, green hydrogens appear to be the most attractive abatement option for sectors that are hard to decarbonize, which are industry, transport, and energy. That's why 26 countries that account for 90% of the world's GDP have developed green hydrogen strategies or hydrogen strategies for its expansion. Therefore, hydrogen is central for tackling climate change and reaching net zero in a competitive way. By 2030, it is expected that the cost of green hydrogen will be in the range of $1.3 to $4.5 the kilo, so it will be affordable. Even more, it is expected that by 2050, green hydrogen could be able to abate 80 gigatons of CO2 emissions, while generating an international market of $2.5 trillion, accompanied by 30 million of jobs and sustainable development in the countries. By that time, 20% of the global energy demand will correspond to green hydrogen, with China, Europe, and North America as the major off-takers. However, the latest estimates indicate that while hydrogen projects around the world have increased, further acceleration of hydrogen development is required in the coming years. According to International Energy Agency, a significant portion of projects are currently at advanced planning stage, but just a few, the 4%, are under construction or have reached final investment decisions. Among the key reasons are uncertainties about demand, lack of regulatory frameworks, and available infrastructure to deliver hydrogen to end users. This is crucial because if we want to be on track for the net zero emissions by 2050, investment of some $700 billion in hydrogen are needed through 2030, but only 3% of the capital is committed today. Nevertheless, Europe has taken a leading role in the transition to a low-carbon economy, pushing forward this growing industry. Europe has the ambition to become the first carbon-neutral continent by 2050, and the Green Deal is the framework for driving this transformation. Based on these three pillars: energy security and accessibility, digitalization, and energy efficiency, the bloc has set the tone by adopting a hydrogen strategy for a climate-neutral Europe, aligned with the Green Deal and the new industrial strategy for Europe. With this, the European Union recognizes the importance of hydrogen as a sustainable carrier and sets a concrete target of installing at least 6 gigawatts of renewable hydrogen by 2024 and 40 gigawatts of renewable hydrogen electrolyzers by 2030. Moreover, the European climate legislation is experiencing an unprecedented context. Already in 2021, the Fit for 55 package was approved, which is driving the profound transformation of the European energy sector, responsible for 75% of its greenhouse gas emissions. And at the beginning of the war in Ukraine, it did not falter with its objectives and launched the Repower EU, an ambition plan that responds directly to the disruption of the energy market caused by Russia. Among other aspects, this plan accelerates the development of renewables from 40% to 45% of its installed capacity by 2030, and sets a target of 10 million tons of domestic renewable hydrogen production and 10 million tons of imports by 2030. Also, the Commission has published 2 delegate acts to accelerate hydrogen projects, and additional funding of 200 million euros is sets aside for research. Undoubtedly, there are many expectations placed on hydrogen, seen as a silver bullet of decarbonization and/or as a vector of national security. So much so that the President of the European Commission stated at the State of the Union that hydrogen can mark an before and after for Europe. Therefore, she announced the creation of a hydrogen bank that will mobilize 3 billion euros from the Innovation Fund to create to build this market of the future. As we saw, in general, the green hydrogen industry is focused on the economic opportunities of this clean transition. But if the growth of this industry is not focused on a just transition, it will tend to repeat the inequalities of the present. The material demands of hydrogen urgently invite us to think about how to establish and respect ecological limits, taking seriously the deteriorated state of many of the areas that will be the new hydrogen production poles, has said the Henrik Bohr Foundation. The first situation will be undoubtedly the amount of water used to produce green hydrogen, because we are in a global context of low water availability and scarcity. We can think in desalination, but it also generates other impacts, and alternative technologies are still limited. Second, the hydrogen not only use like rare materials, but also others such as sand, wood that affect local biodiversity. Also, the hydrogen value chain is highly dependent on critical raw materials, which raise questions about energy security, resource availability, and potential community conflicts. For example, in Chile with the lithium case. Third, massive infrastructures require vast territories for its deployment. In this process, respect for local communities and tradition must be at the center, but also occurs that poor participation and transparency with local communities or indigenous communities calls into question about the sustainability of this industry. But as we know, it's not all about bad news. As we saw earlier, green hydrogen has an enormous capacity to combat climate change, to tackle climate change, and contribute to a just transition, provided maybe by an early and rapid shift for the extractivist logic to a capacity building dynamics. One thing is clear: the momentum for green hydrogen is now, and we cannot afford to miss it. Due to the war in Ukraine, the decrease in the price of renewable energies, Europe is experiencing the momentum to diversify its energy matrix and dependence on fossil fuels, met its climate target while remaining competitive. However, there are still several barriers to overcome, from the need for clear regulations focused on this new industry. Policies to create demand for low-emission hydrogen are needed to unlock the investment, using instruments such as auction, mandates, quotas, requirement in public procurement. For example, Germany and Denmark are pursuing joint purchasing agreements and contract for difference (CFD) schemes for clean hydrogen imports. but also to reduce bureaucracy at the time of granting permits without, of course, compromising environmental impacts. Working to create common standards will allow to speeding up this process. For the 23 green hydrogen valleys in Europe to become a reality, it is necessary to start developing innovative solutions for storage, transport, and transmission on time. This will allow hydrogen to be integrated into the energy grid while transitioning to a low-carbon economy. But there are other key aspects in order to increase transparency and affordability in all the value chain. First, integrating the human factor and material limits in a systemic way in all the green hydrogen processes for a real just transition. Second, the development of a common global standard to account the greenhouse emissions of the life cycle of hydrogen and its derivative. Third, to have a certification in order to guarantee this traceability of impacts. In this case, the European Union has created the Certify initiative. Last but not least, uh, innovation and R&D as pivotal elements for reducing impacts and increasing hydrogen affordability. There is no doubt that hydrogen is attracting a lot of attention for its economic value in a decarbonizing world. Yet, is it the silver bullet that we thought it would be? Like any new industry, there's downsides and upsides in the whole life cycle. What remains to be seen is whether this nascent industry will be able to integrate the necessary changes in time to grow sustainably while respecting the Earth's limits. Thank you very much.